In the field of meditation, it's very commonly accepted that meditating in a group is helps us to go deeper and focus more than meditating alone. And certainly in the living inquiries, part of what happens is that the facilitator, if you have a facilitator, kind of holds the space, and we know the questions, we kind of guide the process. So the person being facilitated doesn't have to do that part of it. And they can just go right into the sensations and the experience, the words and the images. And we can definitely do that on our own as well. I mean, I know the inquiries very well, as do a lot of people that are here. Whether you're a facilitator or whether you are experienced at being facilitated, we know kind of the basic process. And there's a lot of guided practices as well available, and a lot of them are on my YouTube channel too. But there is something different about having another person there. And I think part of that is that as human beings, when we're first born, especially until we reach adulthood, we really need to be cared for or we're not going to survive. So human beings have the longest period of time of any mammal in which we need to be cared for. And if we're not cared for in a way that's nurturing and supportive and reliable and consistent, then we tend to be traumatized by that. And it could be there's some kind of harm or abuse. It could also be neglect, where we just don't feel like we matter. And obviously abuse and neglect obviously go in hand a lot of the time. So our system gets set up for hypervigilance. We're always on the lookout for danger. We don't have a lot of trust that we're going to be okay. And then if we experience somebody that we can be with, whether it's in a group or in a friendship or a relationship or whatever it is, where we feel seen, like the other person actually sees us, where we feel safe enough to reveal who we really are and to be not judged for that, then there's something really magical that happens. There's a release and a letting go, and that there's just something that creates, it's a therapeutic effect of that. Dr. Stephen Porges does a lot of research on the polyvagal system, and he has a tagline that I've kind of borrowed called "Safety is the treatment." And so when we feel safe, whether we're on our own or with someone else, then that's when healing can happen. And what I've experienced with the inquiries is that I can do a lot of inquiry on my own, and I do mostly now, but I'm still facilitated as well. And it often does go deeper when someone else is there with us. And if we're working with some kind of trauma that tends to be very intrusive and come in, and there's a risk that we might start to re-experience a traumatic event, then it's often very, very helpful to have a facilitator there. And all of that happens at the level of the nervous system and the unconscious mind. It's not something that we really do with our conscious mind. We all know, for instance, that we're not in any danger now compared to like if we were being hurt as a child or something, or if we were, something happened yesterday even where someone said some harsh words to us. We know in our conscious mind that we shouldn't be bothered by that, and we know that we're not in any danger any longer. But all of this stuff is wired into our tissues. It's we store trauma in our tissues, and that's part of why it's really helpful to release that, because then it's not driving our behavior and our thoughts the way it did before. So definitely encourage people to do it on their own, and also to seek support. And there's a free daily online practice that we do. It's been going on for almost a year and a half now. Every day, 7 days a week. It's at 8 a.m. New York time and 1 o'clock in the UK, and all the different times in between. And anyone's welcome to come. It's free. I do some kind of a guided practice, and a lot of those practices end up on YouTube. So that's the source of those practices. But the people that come regularly or semi-regularly to that group, and myself as well, all report that there's something really stabilizing and healing about coming together as a group and then just going into the practices. And we really get to know ourselves and to know our bodies, to learn how to breathe and relax, and also to get to know the mind and what's happening in the mind. I'm so excited how there's so much going on in the schools now, and so many people are learning meditation, and it's just a wonderful thing that we get to know our mind and how it all works.